without vesting. Day one, he gets in, he's got another offer somewhere else. Technically, because you've granted him the stock, he can take your 20% and go out the door.
Yeah, at least in our companies, what we do is we do reverse ratchets on the shares. So we give people full shares and then they have a buyback. So it's kind of inverse vesting, so they have the capital already. And you want to do that even as an operator. You don't want these founder holes, right? Your partner disappears and with a 20% hole in your cap table and you just demotivate your whole future. So it's not bad. You just want to make sure that you actually own the voting so that you're not influenced by VC.
And Dane is very creative with a lot of his approaches, which is, and
crazy.
No, it's wonderful actually. But let's say the standard out there right now, I would say, would be to do a 1-year cliff and then vesting over 3 or 4 years. I would say that's pretty standard right now, that I see a lot of companies doing.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's the right thing, and all of you can go out there and kind of make your own decisions about what you do. As long as you speak to a counselor, to an advisor, and make sure that you have your goals in mind. That's kind of the critical thing. And then, let's see, the no shop clause. Do you want to talk a bit about that, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, just for entrepreneurs to be mindful of that. Once you sign a no shop clause, that means you're out of play. So you then can't go and say, here's this term sheet from VC Fund X, match it or better it. You can do that before you sign the no shop clause.
No shop clauses are great ways to do what we call the hose before the close. They'll keep you in a cycle for 45 days. You'll have a loss in trajectory, and then they'll say you need a 20% discount because you have a loss in trajectory and you've got no competing marketplace to go to. You're stuck. It's bad. Have trajectory. Always have trajectory.
But market. I mean, that is market.
It is market. The time, however, is something you want to focus on. Anyways, we've been talking up here a while. I know that we threw a tremendous amount at you and that we have some other people coming out. But since we started about 15, 20 minutes late, why don't we open it up for maybe a few minutes of Q&A if anyone has questions for Dane, Zach, or myself.
Hi, I'll talk loud. My name's Candace Stein, and I have a startup named Stoma Lend, and we're in a Series A raise right now. This is not how it happens right now for us. But I'm just curious on the terms. Once you get the term sheet, which terms are the most negotiable? Which are the ones that you can, as the entrepreneur, feel like I can push back on these and feel comfortable? Is it the cliff? Is it the liquidation amount? Which are the ones that you think you have the most leverage in?
Let me just add a question for the audience. So the question was, which terms of the Series A term sheet are most negotiable?
So, at least in my experience, it depends a lot on the opportunity, right? So if you're high risk, then the preference is going to be even more important. The next big thing is to try to gauge exactly what the partner in their firm is looking for, right? So something that people miss is if they're at the end of their career, if they're early in their career, they need a big win, or they want to exit early. Like there's a lot of different influences to why they want different terms. Usually you push on all and see where you get movement, and then you have a few that you really need to move, and you start playing the ones you don't need to move and calling the ones you do, but it's just different tactics. There's a lot of flexibility in terms. Huge. And they have a toolbox that's terrifying where they'll be like, oh, we'll give you this term, but then we're going to take your soul back over here. And
which one? I want to hear from you which one.
I agree. I think it varies across the board. I mean, if you're, just like what Dane said, not just where you are in your career, but where you are in the fund. If you're raising capital from your LPs for fund, 3 or whatever it is right now, you're gonna want that huge win. So you're gonna want to lock in those terms, and maybe you'll give on the option pool in that case. It depends. I honestly don't know. I think probably I would start with the liquidation preference and the options pool. I think getting a bend on the board with like a 3-person pool, if they're being really nasty about the board, that's probably a bad situation off the bat, and that may be a red flag. I think, I would push and say, market is no longer 3x with participation or 2x with participation. It's no longer participation really at all. Another thing we didn't talk about, because it's kind of tricky, but it can really hurt entrepreneurs and hurt VCs if the terms are not aligned, is the dividends situation. So that you can push on as well. And market right now is like when declared. It kind of depends. So dividends, I think, is something you can push on that people kind of forget about because it gets pushed aside with all these other ones, but can end up kind of impacting the returns for both entrepreneur and VC down the road.
I just want to give you one pointer as well. And that's I like to tell my clients to use me as the bad cop.
Yes.
So this way, you come in with a relationship with a venture firm, and you've got this wonderful, you've hit it off. It's really personable. Oh, I love your company. Everything's great. And then you want to hit them hard with these terms. Well, how do you do that? Well, use your lawyer at that point. This way, you can keep your relationship intact because everyone knows you're feeding your lawyer what to do. But it's just like this, on its face. It's something that everyone knows is happening, but it somehow maintains decorum. The other thing I was going to say is it also depends. I would say it really depends on how hot your startup is too, and how many other people are interested, right? Because you can play one against the other, and the mentality is very much of a lemming herd mentality, where one will just jump off the cliff for the next. So.
Okay, this will be the last question. So, hand over there to the right.
She had a question.
Please stand up.
Give us 1 sec. The microphone.
Yeah, can't really hear you.
I'm sorry, when you were discussing the convertible note, did you discuss parity at all, or how would you actually come to that number?
Parity?
A convertible note is exchangeable upon parity if you're in the money or out of the money.
Sure.
So did you already establish selling common shares on that? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, so I think that you need to be very sensitive, as we just mentioned, to some of the smaller terms. If people miss that term, as well as many others, you want to find a really clean conversion into either the preferred the next round, or if you're smart, try to get a conversion to common stock. We just did our round where they look at people in the common stock. If you can get them in there, it's brilliant, and you can do it a lot easier in the note. Also, not giving any pro rata rights. It's a stage negotiation, right? Fight your big fights, fight your next fights, let the lawyer fight the third fight, have the scientist call and fight the fifth fight. Like, just step it out.
I think in terms of notes right now, market is not converting into common. That's awesome that you got that done. But market's converting into preferred, but market is not pro rata, because I think the expectation is that the Series A guys are going to negotiate their pro rata. So if you're going to convert into the same class of shares, whether that's participating preferred or just regular preferred, as the first equity round of qualified financing folks are. So you're going to get your pro rata if you want to re-up again in the Series B. But yeah, I've seen, I don't know, most now don't have pro rata, but they definitely convert into the preferred stock when you have that qualified financing. And there are different thresholds for qualified financing. That's another term that people, miss. Like, I used to see convertible notes where the qualified financing round was like next time when they raised $1 million of equity. Now I see notes where they're raising $750 and they're saying, okay, qualified financing means equity round of $2 million plus. So it's kind of getting pushed out, mainly because of this, and we don't have time to get into it, but the Series A crunch that everybody's talking about. People are now raising like second seed rounds at stepped up valuations because they're not quite ready to do the A. So that's why they're pushing up that qualified financing conversion thing on the note. They're just extending the note. So, but that's for another night.
Anyways, I think that's all the time we have, but if you guys have any more questions for Dane, I'm sure you could find these guys in cyberspace. Dane Atkinson, Zach Aarons, I'm Randy Adler. Guys, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Hey everybody, my name is Dave Brown. I am the co-founder of Smart Money Entrepreneurs.
Good job.
Thank you for coming out tonight. This is going to be a great investor panel that we have coming up with some great people, including Dame and John. Who's ready for Dame and John? Yeah. Dame John is in the building, and he will be coming out in a few minutes, as well as our investor panel. Brian Cohen, from Chairman of the New York Angels. Charlie O'Donnell, partner of Brooklyn Bridge Ventures. And Alan Brody, founder of iBreakfast. sit tight for about a minute. Damon John is going to come out, and once he comes out, he's going to be moderating the panel. And Jeremy Andrews, founder of Smart Money Entrepreneurs, will be sitting on the Investor Entrepreneur panel.
We're not having an intermission, so if you guys could just hang out unless you need to use the restroom, I'll get up. So it'll just go a lot faster.
There is no intermission in order for the event to go on and end at the right time. So if you get up, please just know that you will probably be missing a little bit of the event.
Right.
I pitched to you guys back in February. Then we raised $1.8 million for innovation.
Would you be able to get Jody?
Well, we're going to do an intro. You guys want to see it? I wouldn't mind getting set up.